Good evening, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. On May the 13th, 2020, we are here. I'm Samantha Glass from the Samantha Glass Show, and I'm your moderator for today's panel entitled Bouncing Back for 30+1 Resilient Stories. So first off, let me just tell you guys why we're here. We're here because 30+1 Resilient Stories is a place for people to talk about stories with obstacles that they faced and how they overcame those obstacles. And today we've brought an expert panel to talk about their stories and also what they do because they work in the fields of resiliency, really. So we're going to go through the panel and start out by introducing each panelist here today. Please make sure that you share, put your questions in the comment section, and get yourself a pen and a paper because you might want to take some notes. This is going to be exciting. So let's go one by one here in no particular order. Let's start with my friend here, Miss Cleoni Crawford. Cleoni, welcome.
Hi, good to see you again, Samantha.
Yes, you too. So tell the viewers who you are and what Cleoni Crawford is about.
Well, I am a new author and of a book called The Music of My Life. I am a speaker and I am also a mental health advocate. I use my story to help people to motivate them to know that they can strive, that they can thrive, and they can live a life of abundance despite their mental illness.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much. And let's go to Resilient Michael Resilient Ballard. Off to you.
Hi, I survived a couple of things, a concussion at a young age, 2 chronic illnesses, cancer, an emergency surgery, another cancer, and pulled it all together. And my daughter was 7. She had a serious brain tumor. And because of what I taught her and coached her on, the hospital said, she's so calm and reflective and it's not even bothering her emotionally. So resiliency, I define it as something that you use to improve the quality of your experience and often change the outcome.
Amazing.
And pulled it all together. And my daughter.
And last but not least, Miss Rosetta Q.
Hi, Samantha. Thank you. And thanks. Hello, everyone who are watching. My name is Rosetta Q. I have a company that I call Life Redesign. I am the CEO of Think and Grow Rich Caribbean and Life Redesign. I help people change their lives by changing themselves from the inside out. So that's what I do. What is resiliency? Did you say I should?
Yeah, let's go backwards because I'm going to ask you guys that. What is resiliency to you?
Well, to me, resiliency is bouncing back, getting back up when you're falling down. And you know what? Life will knock you down. Life will throw us curveball after curveball after curveball, but it's up to us to get back up. We can either stay down there or we can get back up. I love Les Brown's favorite quote, when you get knocked down, make sure you're lying down on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up. And I try to live my life by that, with that saying, because I know things happen, so we can't control what happens, but we can control the way we look at it.
Thank you. Amazing. So guys, tell me, what is your earliest memory of being resilient? So let's go back. Michael's to my left here. So let's start with Michael and then go down to Cleoni and then Rosetta.
Earliest example, I believe that was my father teaching me reflection. So I got frustrated at quite a few things. So we went for a walk and a talk. And it was a nice walk and a talk. And for whatever reasons I was frustrated, that I don't know, but I was less than 6 years old. So he took me to the fields where there was trees and bushes and flowers and plants. And he got me to look at a pine tree, top of a hill. And it was all crooked and leaning. And he said, so just to get this started now, because as your dad, it's important you learn this. Is the tree leaning into the wind or away from the wind? And when you're 4 or 5, it's like, whoa, that's a big question. And so over the course of several walks and talks, he didn't know he was teaching me mindfulness, but he started teaching me mindfulness. And that really set me up for a whole different quality of life, because at 4, I was a good kid, but I was hyper energy kid. You know, so I used to run till I couldn't walk. I was so exhausted as a kid, because you got to get out, move, groove, see and be seen. You got to meet all the neighbors every day, 20 times. And so that learning to be calm and reflective, and at the time, I just thought dad was doing dad things. But then when you become 30, 40, 50, and your friends go, you know, your parents were not normal. That's why we went to your house. And you go, you know, I guess not a lot of kids got mindfulness from their parents when they're 4 years old. So that was my first big gift from my parents that I remember, was being taught, pay attention to the tree. You know, which way does it bend? If moss grows on the cool, damp side, is that on the sunny side or the dark side?
Absolutely inspiring. Amazing. Cleoni, what about you? So what's your earliest memory of being resilient?
Well, I would say my earliest memory of being resilient is when I was in my teens and I had been suffering from epilepsy. I'd have seizures. And when I would faint, I would end up in the hospital, and because of those seizures, it caused me to feel very down on myself and embarrassed. And I had to find ways to kind of within myself, talk myself up to recognize that I am just as good as other people. And just because I have a seizure and I fall down and I have this experience doesn't mean that I can't overcome this. And even though I had many years of having seizures and fainting and losing, and then even losing jobs because of my seizures, I would constantly have to remind myself that despite my illness at the time, now it's illness at the time, I don't have to stay down. I can actually rise up again. So I guess I would say epilepsy, my seizure, it was at 13. So I would say, yeah, I started having seizures at 13. So I'd say around there in my teen years.
Wow.
I hope I answered the question.
Thank you. You did. Thank you. And Rosetta, what is your earliest memory of being resilient?
My earliest memory of being resilient, I must say, it was when I was a child. I was around maybe 10, 11. I was sent to live with my aunt. And then from there, I was sent to live with my grandparents. And there I was sent to live with my uncle. And from there, I was sent to live with my other uncle. And from there, I was sent to live with, I was sent to boarding school. And you know what, for a young girl, 10, 11 years old, I didn't understand why no one wanted me, why no one loved me, because I was good. I was always good. I was always doing everything that I was told. I was always obeying their rules, doing my chores, doing what I was supposed to do, but yet no one wanted me. And I couldn't understand that. And even, and I looked at it as, you know, there's one thing I can do is I can either swallow in that, or I can just pick myself up, have my faith in my God, and move on. And that at a very young age, I decided that, you know what, I'm going to depend on me. I can't depend on anyone. I am going to depend on me because I'm all I have, and I have God with me. And that has been my source. That has been my guiding light from ever since then.
Amazing.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So Rosetta, I'm going to come back to you here now. And so who has been one of the biggest influences to be more resilient in your family, for example?
In my family, I would say my dad was my dad. You know what? There are a lot of people in my family that are actually resilient, but I would say my dad, because I really admire him. I know I wasn't raised with my parents, but even though they sent me away, they saw something within me that I didn't see at the time. Mm-hmm. And they knew that if they kept me in the environment that I was in, that would have been it for me, because because all my siblings before me they all had babies when they were teenagers. You know, my brothers all felt, my two brothers dropped out of school, so they had to remove me from that environment. But as a 10-year-old, I couldn't understand that. I couldn't understand it. But I've seen my dad worked his ass off to pay for me to go to boarding school. Like, I remember going to bed hungry, and I remember not having, you know, money to buy new shoes, buy new clothes, do any of that things, all those things. But yet my dad found money to send me to boarding school. How did that happen? I don't know how that happened. I have no idea. But that took a lot of bouncing back up, because he would work many times for different jobs, and he will go out and work for hours and hours, and he will get his lunch, and he would not eat his lunch. He would save his lunch and bring it home to feed his family. He would go out there all day and work all day in the hot sun. It's not easy work, it's farm work, in the hot sun all day with no food. He would go out there and he would work for other people, and then when it's time come for them to pay him, they wouldn't want to pay him. And so he would get up again the next day and he would go work. He just, every time that would happen, every time he would fall, he would get back up. And he kept going and kept going and kept going and kept paying for me to go to boarding school, because he knew that his investment was going to come out. It was going to come through. His desire for me, even though at the time I didn't see what he was seeing, I didn't see it. He saw it. He saw it, and he worked his ass off to send me there. And I admire that. That took a lot of courage. That took a lot of strength. And for my mother, I admire her, because for her, sending her daughter away is not easy for a woman to do. It's not easy. It's not easy. So I admire them. It took a lot of strength, but they did it. And they kept coming up. Every time things would happen, they kept picking themselves up. And I couldn't, and then there was time in my life when I was so angry at them for giving me away, for sending me away, because I have 6 siblings, 7 kids, and I'm the only one that in my opinion at the time, they rejected. Why did they reject me? I couldn't understand that. Not until I became an adult, that's when I began to understand that, you know what? I am forever grateful for what they did for me. Because if they didn't do that, if they didn't remove me from that environment, I would have been just like my siblings. And that's why I always say, if you want your life to change, and if the environment you're in is not working for you, remove yourself. Get out of it from there.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for sharing that. I greatly appreciate that you did.
It takes courage for a parent to do that.
Exactly. Yes.
Definitely.
So Cleoni, same question to you is, who was one of the biggest influencers to be more resilient in your family?
I would say my mother. My mother, she was an entertainer. And so she would constantly be performing on different stages, her music. And I watched her go on stage, and sometimes she wouldn't get the best favorable response because of her art. And I've even watched one time where she performed a song, and it wasn't to the liking of the audience, because when you just start out, you don't necessarily have all the tools, right? So when you just start out, sometimes you're an amateur. And so for her, she just started out, and she performed, and she didn't get a good response. And I watched her literally dust herself off and try again. And what that told me is that, you know what? You may fall, but you don't have to stay down. You can always try again. And that was a lesson that I learned, that no matter how many times you fall, get back up. You can do it.
Thank you. Thank you. And Michael, one of your biggest influences to be more resilient from your family?
Oh, I'm blessed to be in a family that did a lot, but I'm going to use my uncle. Grade 9 was a time of great adventure, being the social butterfly I was, but I got overwhelmed as well. So I failed. So my dad gave me the father talk and I got the mother talk, and then my uncle called. He was taking one of his favorite nephews. He had a whole bunch of nephews, and he always told us, each one of us, we were one of his favorites. But we went for a walk and a talk. And so there's a 30-odd-year-old male telling a 13-year-old about he made a couple of big mistakes, and don't you dare make the same mistakes I made. You're smarter than me. You're going to be more persistent than me, because I want to give you some real life hard advice. When I was 16, I dropped out the next day. Your father stayed in school for a couple more years, but I was making 3 times as much money. Within time, I had a leather jacket and a motorcycle. Your dad rode a bicycle and had to take a bus. Let's fast forward now. I'm within a couple years of his age. We're both 35, 40. He and your mother, my sister, almost own a house. I live in an apartment. I don't even own a car. Can't really afford it. I pay a lease. Your dad owns 2 cars. See where I'm going with this? So, young man, I'll always love you and always respect you, but I don't know what it's going to take, but you're going to pass grade 9. Second attempt. No options.
Right.
And so nowadays, with hindsight, having worked with educators, I know that Michael has learning issues with spelling and grammar and other things, but I passed. Skin of my teeth in some subjects, but I passed. But in the 60s and 70s, to have a 35, 40-year-old to share with a 13-year-old his biggest mistakes, that speaks of his love and his courage to admit that he made some lifetime mistakes. And to this day, I get weepy thinking about, yep, I listen to my parents, but to have somebody else drive an hour and a half, arrive after supper, take me for the walk, let me know I was loved and respected, but this wasn't going to happen twice, right? Wow. I have tried to emulate him, because you run into kids that are stuck and try to share a message the same way, because it went straight here, and talk about apply myself. Failure was not an option second time in.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
Uncle Jim's a hero.
Thank you to Uncle Jim. Amazing. So the next ones I'm going to ask you guys is about your biggest influences to be more resilient in school. So I don't know if anybody here has faced bullying at school or any issues at when they were in school, but can any of you tell us, let's go backwards, Michael. Can you tell us who helped you to become, well, you talked about your uncle. Can you tell, is there anybody specifically, any teachers or anybody within the school itself that helped you to be more resilient at school? Resilient, I apologize.
I had a music teacher that was very good at describing why you were very good, but why you needed some humility. Just because you're really good at hearing this piece of music, how you perform, you're missing this piece. So he once told me, when I didn't listen the first time in private, the second time in front of the whole class in grade 10, that I might have the best sense of rhythm and timing of any music student he ever taught. Woohoo! And then he said, but you're not controlling it and showing discipline, so you're setting off the group and the orchestras. Now, I was invited to be in 2 out of the 3 the school had. And at that rate, you'll never make it to the exclusive 3rd one. Oh, ouch! But he said it with respect. He said it kindness. He said, and this is the 2nd time we've had the talk. So as an adult, I always reflect back that he acknowledged the gifts, but then he went, but you got this gap here. And unless you pay attention to that, you'll never maximize your skill, your ability. So he was in some ways talking about mastery. So I really, Carl Mulcahy passed away. His wife still talks to me every week on Facebook. It's pretty awesome.
Wow.
I made an impression, but he really made an impression because he dealt with me based on me the right way. Calling somebody out in front of a whole class might not be appropriate by some people's standards, but he did give me a quiet warning once that you got to start to control this. But I got so bored in music class because, you know, I was playing at a grade 6, grade 8 level for the conservatory stuff. So playing high school music for second level was a snooze, but you weren't allowed to skip ahead.
Wow.
It was a great lesson, powerful lesson on how to be a better student.
Amazing. Thanks, Michael, for sharing that. Cleoni, anyone within your school that helped you to become more resilient at school?
I would say it was a professor when I was in university. I remember starting my, it was some African history courses. And actually, wasn't that? No, it started out with my first program in like sociology when I first started university. And so it was a teacher there that I was used to always getting very good grades. And then when I went to U of T, I discovered some bad grades. And I was really discouraged, but a teacher just reminded me that no matter how many times it takes for you to get to the mark that you want, don't give up, just keep pushing. And that encouraged me, just seeing, yeah, I'll just stick it, I'll stick a pin there.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing that. And Rosetta, anyone within your school, any influences?
Anyone within my school? None that I can remember. No, it was all me and God. That's it. No one in my school. I can't remember of anyone teaching me resilience. No, I was pushing myself in school. I'm the only one who was doing it, because if I would fail, I would go up to my teachers and I would ask them if I can redo it. And I would go over every single mark I would get. And sometimes I will notice the teachers, they would mark something incorrect, which should be correct, so I would go back to that. Yeah, no, no.
Love that.
I was one of those kids in school that teachers, they love me, but they didn't love me. You know?
Well, that was
I would pick out their mistakes.
You called them out when they made a mistake.
Right.
Yeah.
Amazing. So for those of you that are tuning in, this is the Bouncing Back 30+1 Resilient Stories expert panel. Guys, put your comments in the comment section. We have quite a few people here watching us today. High five to Gordon So. High five to Kelly Chiasson, Patricia Lynn Stokes. High five, Michael Ballard. How are you over there and over there?
Magical abilities.
And there's people that are cheering you guys on. So thank you so much for sharing. I want to get into like an open discussion here now before we come back to some further questions. So you guys all have different stories, and you told some of it in the beginning here, and you all come from different backgrounds and different professions. So why do you think that your chosen profession is something that helps with resiliency? Or if you're not in a profession, why do you think your chosen volunteerism or chosen studies helps with resiliency? So let's open it up and get an open discussion. Michael, let's get you started. You smiled there. So what can you tell us?
My grandparents all moved to Canada just before the Great Depression. Mm-hmm. And so the statistics I've read since was that 1 out of 4 men couldn't find work, and only 1 out of 8 women that wanted to work out of the home could find work. There was a lot of hungry people whose survival was tenuous now by North American standards. I've got friends all over the world these days, and there's still some of them living in tenuous situations. So fair enough. And so I heard about how neighbors helped neighbors. I have in my storage unit the garden shovel the government issued so that my dad's parents could have a vegetable garden in an unused part of the property at the local graveyard. So they issued them the seeds, the shovel, and when they went there was a garden hose and a tap. And your job was to turn it over, put the sod over there, and grow your vegetables, because we don't have a lot of money to give you other than that. And so my dad talked about how you looked out for each other, you helped each other. Your neighbor's mother was going to come home late from work and there's kids. Somehow the message got through. You made sure that everybody was taken care of. And it was always about a hand up, a hand up, a hand up, a hand up. It was never considered a handout. And my dad talked about, and when I got old enough to fish, I loved to fish, but there's one type of fish I couldn't stand to eat. But I caught it, and the catching it, it died. So he said, I came home with this great big fish, and I was going to bury it in the vegetable garden because next year's vegetables would be huge. And the neighbors were like, you're going to bury it? No, we'll eat it. So, okay, there's my catch of the day, because it was, like a 10-pound fish. But it was a fish that my dad didn't eat catfish. That was just his personal, didn't. And so that was really fascinating that he shared food. He was using it as fertilizer, and to them it was a full meal for the 6 of them. So off it went. So I was raised, and I still have the shovel. And instead of coming to a point, it's saucer shaped because it's been worn out with 6 years of hard labor with the 4 brothers and my grandfather digging over the garden and coming home, and the 2 sisters and mom making food and preserving food and putting it in the root cellar, because that's what you do. And you make sure the neighbors, you barter back and forth, and you trade and you give gifts, because you're looking out for each other.
Michael, I understand you also teach some courses. Is that true?
Yes, it is.
Would you like to share what those courses are?
Sure. I have a course that's based on personal experience on how to manage your energy. So when I was going through all my health crisis, I met a lot of really amazing professionals, but I found there was a gap. My first cancer diagnosis, I got from the doctor, who's turned into an amazing friend. Michael, the good news is in surgery, we think we got it all. The bad news is we found 4 locations with cancer, not 1. So the social worker comes to your bed 3 days after surgery. Michael, I'm Mrs. So-and-so. Here's my card. Do you have a house, a mortgage, a wife, life insurance, company car? Like, what do you do in 6 weeks from now when you go home? Oh, no, we're going to put me on permanent or temporary disability for if I'm off for more than 4 months, but I got full pay for 4 months. And it's like, oh, well, okay, here's my card. Call me if you can't stop crying. But there's only 2 of us for 487 beds. And I went, pardon me? I could be dead in 6 weeks, and we only have 2 social workers for 487 beds. And then the therapist came in, God bless him. He had 2 master's degrees, and he was quite big on telling me that. One in psychiatry and one in theology. And he said, I've looked at your chart. You got cancer in 4 locations. I've talked to the nurses and doctors, and you're awfully happy for a guy that's going to die. Well, I was very beat up. I was down 137 pounds, but I was grumpy. You don't go be telling me I'm going to die. I only out of surgery 3-4 days now. I've been saying these a lot, and I got plans. I have seen what my purpose is. There's nothing to do to help me. There was no hospice then. There was nothing. And so I fired him. You haven't taken 2 minutes to get to know me. Don't come back.
Wow.
You're wasting my time. So I developed a course based on research at Harvard in the 1915s, 1920s, 1960s, and University of Chicago and Toronto in the 1980s. And I teach kids as young as 3, because experts told me, oh, children have to be at least 7. And well, don't tell me what's impossible, because there's other ways to get to a child other than just logic. And so if you get to them here and you can make them laugh, it's amazing. So I've been working with kids from 3 years old, and my oldest person that I know that I've talked to that used my course said, this shit works. Well, what she was really saying was the breathing skills, the meditation, the mindfulness, and when you use simple common language that's non-threatening and non-medical, people listen. So I've worked with kids that have been serially abused and physical and sexual, all the ways that people do terrible things. And then I worked with seniors. I got to work at a nursing home with Auschwitz survivors twice. That was really humbling, because I faced cancer and dying a few times, but Auschwitz survivors, concentration camp survivors? Are you kidding me? But they told me that I made them laugh about aging. And that was what really counted, to know that this might be failing and the body might be failing, but they still had their emotions and their faith and their social and the rituals of their faith. And that was what really mattered. So I did really well, because one of the 96-year-old Bubbas wanted me to meet her granddaughter because I was a nice young man. So then I explained that I was older than she thought I was, because her great granddaughter was 23 and I was 49 at the time. It's like, whew, still got it. Still, oh, fool.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that.
So I love doing my programs, because whether it's with inner city youth and you get paid $25 for grocery money for the end of the week, or whether it's for IBM and it's a nice significant fee, it's about helping people reflect on themselves and have hope.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that, Michael. Cleoni.
Yes.
Yeah. So I had interviewed you in past, and you had told us your story. You had told us what you had gone through and how it became you, how it helped you. And actually, you're an advocate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us more about what you advocate for?
Well, I have lived experience with bipolar. And after going through the things that I had gone through, such as 26 hospitalizations, 2 incarcerations, homelessness, and suicide attempts. After going through that, I discovered a lot about myself. And hold on.
Okay, take your time.
So I discovered a lot about myself, and I realized when I was going through it, I felt very alone, because I didn't see other people that were going through the same thing that I was going through. So I had to first learn to become my own advocate for my own self. And I made a decision after going through what I went through, that I was not going to allow people in my circle to experience by my mental health challenges alone. But I was actually going to be vulnerable, and I was going to share my story so that I can help other people to overcome whatever challenges they had to overcome, whether it be the hospitalizations, whether it be the suicide, whether it be the incarceration or homelessness. I just wanted people to know that they didn't have to be alone. And that is why the advocacy has started. It started first by me just sharing my stories, but now it's expanded where I'm actually studying addictions and mental health, where I'm learning so that I can be able to be a professional in the field, so I can actually help people on a frontline basis.
Amazing, amazing.
Powerful.
And you wrote that book, The Music of My Life.
Yes.
The music of my life, is that the story behind Cleoni's journey?
Yes, The Music of My Life is basically my journey of mental health and the things that I have gone through, starting from when I was about 13, when I was dealing with epilepsy for 11 years. And then, university and work, and losing my job working for the government. And it's basically my story. And I called it The Music of My Life because my story came in waves. And there were times where things were down and I literally had to push to get myself up, you know what I mean? To kind of bounce back, to be resilient. And so that book basically it's definitely a story of resilience, because I fell many times, but for me, one thing that's really helpful is I'm a part of a faith-based community. So one thing that's really helpful is a quote that I stick by, which is, says, a righteous man falleth 7 times, but he has to get back up. So what I get from there is that in order for you to fall 7, you got to get up 8 times. So no matter how many times you fall, you got to get back up. And so I see myself as one of those, those little dummies that when you hit them and they fall over for a second and they just bounce back up. Well, I feel sometimes that's what you got to be. You got to be that dummy, and you just got to just get back up.
It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Michael's saying something, but he's muted. Michael, you have to unmute yourself to say that. Oh.
My apologies. I was going to say my father was here. He would tease you that the reason I get back up is I got big feet. Knock me over and I just don't fall over.
Oh my goodness, Michael, thank you. Cleoni, one more thing.
Yes.
I remember you had said to me that there's an issue in society, and you were talking about in Ontario specifically, where there isn't, for people that can't afford assistance when they have a mental health issue. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Because I know that's something you're advocating for as well.
Right. When people can't afford things like psychotherapy, you know what I mean? That's a problem, because right now, if someone wants to get any psychotherapy to talk therapy, they have to pay for it. And most people who are actually with mental health challenges are usually, many of them are actually in poverty, and they can't access those services, even if it's on a rolling scale. And so what I try to do is I try to speak up and share the importance of talk therapy, and even music therapy. And sorry, it's coming. The importance of talk therapy. So I try to just share my story by letting people know that you can, the importance that talk therapy is a very important aspect of your recovery. And I'm hoping by becoming in the field frontline that I'll actually be able to advocate more for like funding for actual talk therapy. Sadly, many times, many of the general, in order to qualify for talk therapy with a general practitioner, there are some psychotherapists that are general practitioners, but the waiting list is so long. The waiting list is so long in order to get those free services. And I'm hoping that by sharing my story and getting other people to share their stories, that hopefully the government will make more changes and provide more funding towards either deploying more psychotherapists or even regulating it, making sure that psychotherapists are actually regulated. I know they recently became regulated, but you still have to pay for it. So I'm hoping that over time, by people sharing their stories, that we'll be able to see funding for that.
Amazing. Thank you. Rosetta, I'm excited to talk to you about this, because I know what you do, and I want you to explain to people more, because I think people are skeptical. They don't understand what you do. And if you can explain more about that, I think that would be amazing.
Okay, so as everyone knows, my company is called Life Redesign. I redesigned my life. I came from poverty, really bad poverty, to where I am now. I teach people how to connect with their spirit. So I got married at a very young age. 3 years later, I had I was pregnant, because that was a plan. I set out a blueprint for my life, and my plan was to get married, 3 years later, have a baby. Even though at the time my husband wasn't ready, I was ready. So I made him get ready. But wouldn't you know it, I'm here pregnant, going to the doctors, and the doctor telling me that, Rosetta, your body is literally refusing the baby. I was so sick. I was on bed rest the entire time. I was so sick. And every time I would go, the doctor would say, well, you know what? Let's see what we can do. Let's wait until the baby's lungs develop. Let's see what we can do. I don't know, because your body, Rosetta, your body is refusing this child. But the thing is, even though my body was refusing the baby, I wanted the baby.
Yes.
I wanted my baby. And I must tell you that your desire for the things that you want must be so great that it will overcome all those fears. Because I had nurses coming to my house every day, and I never once felt fear. I never once worried. I never once was in doubt, because I knew I was protected. I was protected. And even though my body was refusing the baby, I didn't care. I wanted that baby. And even it come to the point where I was so swollen. I went from a size 5.5 shoes to like size 10. I was like I blew up so much like a balloon. If you got the pin and you poke at me, I would just like burst. So it was so bad. And at that time, my mind stepped in, and my mind was like, this is not good. I don't want the baby either. And it had to come to a point where I had to tell my mind and my body to shut the fuck up, because I am having this baby. So that's where my spirit came in. That's where my faith came in. My faith within myself and my faith within God. And if you don't know yourself and if you don't know your spirit, then that's where we come into problems. And Emerson says the reason why there's so many problems in this world is because people are disconnected from themselves. People do not know who they are and what they are about. And in order for you to know what you are about, you have to sit quietly, work on yourself. On yourself. Too many times we want to fix our problems, but we go to external forces to fix our problems. So imagine this: we're in a house, we wanted to go for a drive. Suddenly the power goes out. You drop your car keys. You're fiddling around trying to find your car keys, can't find your car keys. You look outside, you look outside, there's light outside. The street light is on. So you decided, you know what, I'm going to go outside and look for my car keys there. So you get up, you go outside, and you start looking for your car keys, and you're looking around looking for your car keys. The neighbors drove by. The neighbor is like, well, what are you looking for? Oh, I'm looking for my car keys. The neighbor is like, okay, let me help you look for them. So you and your neighbor are now looking for your car keys. You guys are looking for it until your neighbor, after a while, the neighbor says, then, where do you drop your car keys? And you said, it's inside. It's inside the house. And your neighbor's like, and you have me out here this whole time looking for your car keys? And he goes, yeah, because there's light out here. But isn't that what we do to our, when we have a problem that's located on the inside, we try to fix it on the outside, because the outside there's light, we can see it, and we refuse to look within ourselves in that darkness and consider that we are the problem. We create our own problems. And until we realize that we are the problems and we are also the solution, then we will not get to know our greatness. We will remain stuck. And the only way for you to get to know your greatness is being connected and in alignment with your spiritual self, with God, source, universe, whatever you want to call it, whoever you believe in, is to get in alignment with that thing. In order for you to reach your goal, you have to be in alignment with your goal.
Yes.
And that's what I teach. I teach people how to be in alignment. Because true strength does not come from your physical. And a lot of people think that true strength comes from their mind, and it doesn't, because your mind will tell you shit to do that you're not supposed to do. Your mind will tell you to do things that you end up regretting later on. Strength comes from your spirit. It comes from the inside. And it comes from you knowing that and being in alignment with that. And that's what I teach. That's what I do. And that's how I teach people how to change their life. That's how people redesign their lives.
Wonderful.
Why do you think, and it's so interesting because I know that I was one of these people that was like, okay, so yeah, there's a spirit and yeah, there's spirituality, but why do you think people are hesitant to take the time with a spiritual coach or take a course where they learn more about themselves? Like, it's only, to me, I can only see it being good. Why do you think people are skeptical about it?
Because people don't know what they don't know. And we live in a world where it's mostly governed by religion, and and when you bring spirituality up, you will hear them say that, oh, spirituality, it's demonized, it's this, it's that, but they don't understand that spirituality is understanding who you are and connecting to your true self. And spirituality is it teaches you how to connect. And when you connect to your true self, then you are in harmony. Your mind, your body, and your soul are in harmony. Mm-hmm. And so some people are people get scared of, because if they don't know, they don't know. So yes, they will be skeptical about it, because they've heard, oh, spirituality, maybe it's demonized, maybe this is that, maybe it's going to take me away from my God, maybe it's going to take me away from this, which is not true, because it teaches you to align with whoever you believe in, to align with your true power. We're not looking, too many times we're looking for God outside of us, and God is not outside of us. He's inside of us. We are God made manifest. God created us in his own image and likeness. And if we want to know the true power of God, we have to go inside for it. That's where it is. And that's what spirituality is. And that's what spirituality teaches you.
Amazing, amazing. So you teach individuals privately, and you've recently been doing these group sessions for spirituality.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit more about what those sessions look like so people are aware? Because I have to tell you, I'm biased here, 100%. I was skeptical, and I took Rosetta's course, and I live and breathe by it. So I'm biased. So Rosetta will tell you more about her course.
Well, so right now we're doing a 6-week manifestation course. The new session starts up on Monday. So basically it's about how my 6 steps are how I redesigned my life. Those 6 steps are how I manifested the life that I wanted. So I'm teaching, that's what I'm teaching in this course. And it all has to do with getting in alignment. So the first one we started with is belief. And belief is a huge thing, because we have so many self-limiting beliefs, so many things that we're holding on to. And that's why we can't move from where we are. That's why it's keeping us stuck. It's keeping us trapped. So I teach in this course, you learn what is self-limiting beliefs and how to overcome that, how to change your beliefs. And we'll learn how to stay positive. We'll learn how to be in alignment with source and how to be in alignment with your goals. We'll learn how to raise your vibrations. There's a bunch of things that we'll learn, and there's exercises that we do as we go along, because I send out these exercises that you have to work on your own terms and at home. Because yes, you can be learning all these things from me, and yes, you have your goals, and yes, you're praying, and yes, you're wishing, and yes, you're doing whatever, but unless you take the action, nothing is going to change. So you have these I give these exercises that to everyone that they work on. They learn to focus their mind and concentrate on their goals. And these exercises are they sound very simple, but as I can tell you, they're not simple. They're not easy, because sitting alone for 15 minutes is hard for a lot of people. Stopping your thoughts is hard for a lot of people. So this is what I teach, and in these exercises, it helps you to control your thoughts and quiet your mind, because we have too much clutter going on up here, too much noise going on up here, and that's why we can't hear God. And that's why we can't hear ourselves speak. And that's why we can only hear all that negative chatter going on and on and on. Unless we learn to quiet our minds and to get in tune, then nothing is going to really happen. So that's what I teach. I teach people how to quiet their minds, how to do all that, all those great things, and basically change your lives. After the 6 weeks, you will never be the same. If you're the same, then you're not doing my work. You're not doing the exercises that I am giving you. You're not listening. You're not paying attention to when I'm speaking, because your life will change after these 6 weeks.
And what happens after 6 weeks? Like, what's your advice for people after they've taken your course and they're like, okay, so I've taken the course, I know I've changed. Is it stop there? Because I hear people
No.
saying, oh, I've done personal development and I'm done, I'm healed now. Can you give me your opinion?
Yeah, that doesn't happen. It's a lifelong process. We're always learning. And the moment we stop learning, the moment we stop working on ourselves, that's when you're ready to be in the coffin. Because it's a lifelong learning. So after the 6 weeks, you just got to keep practicing on reinforcing the things that you know. Keep doing those exercises. Keep working on building that positive mindset, because it's a habit, and we learn from habits. So keep reading personal development books. Keep listening to tapes. Keep doing those things. Go to workshops. I have a cruise coming up, hopefully, fingers crossed, in December. That would be great. It's like 5 days, learning all this great stuff. And and after this, if people want more sessions or more time with me, they can always give me a call. You can always reach out to me. And I also do the one-on-one sessions where I do hypnosis also, that helps to changing those beliefs even faster.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Thank you for sharing all that. Like, I have to say, I mean, everyone here on the panel has something that they really excel in. And so the viewers are watching and they're commenting. I've actually had people post your links all in the comment section. So if you guys want to go circle around after the panel, go back and check it out. There might be comments under it, and you can comment with the viewers. It would be greatly appreciated. So thank you for that, Rosetta. Let me just continue that personal development thing, because that's really important when it comes to resiliency too, right? So Cleoni, personal development. What is personal development to you, and what do you think people should do to continue it? Because we know, like, you could take Rosetta's course and then hopefully you're ready to go to continue. Hopefully you have that habit and you just keep going with it. But we know in reality, sometimes just people don't. What's your advice for people, and what's your thoughts on personal development?
I think personal development is very important. I think it's important for you to be introspective and look within so that you can actually be able to fix the things that you're doing on a regular basis. I believe in investing in yourselves, whether it's by having a coach, or whether it's by having a therapist, whether it's by investing in like working out. I just believe that you have to be very well-rounded, and in order for you to excel in anything that you're trying to excel in. So personal development is very important. I believe that people underestimate the power of it by not investing money into it. I personally believe in taking different courses just so that I can actually develop myself.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. And Michael, personal development and advice on continuing.
I think it's really important to get outside perspectives on your mindset. So to either help you nurture it and help you grow further, or with another POV, point of view, you might realize that, oh, you've had some misdirection recently, and you're going to have your ideas and values pruned back a little bit to redirect your life force. So as Rosetta said, there's a lot of distractions out there. Yeah. You know, love this mobile phone, but I've got all the notifications turned off because I don't need it to tell me whether I'm being successful today, my likes and other nonsense.
Mhm.
So I took 2 mental health first aid courses a couple of years ago.
Oh.
I did a big event for a Fortune 50 company, and 2 people came up to me that were suicidal. I have no formal training. So I said, that's it. I'm taking these courses. So I spent a good piece of the fee I earned by taking these 2 courses. Now, I already knew the words, but they gave me another set of words.
Yes.
And that helps me feel better that I will be able to help keep a few people safer in this journey. Because I can't look after the world, but for people who decide that I have a message that's important to them, the odd time the phones rang and it was people who were suicidal. And it's like, whoa, I don't run a suicide helpline. But to take those 2 3-day courses was, we're all feeling the same thing. Nobody there was on a helpline. We're all helpers and volunteers or ran our own businesses. And we all wanted to make sure that we knew a little more about how to do it the right way, in a safe way. So I think that it's really good to take personal development. And as I heard on the TV the other day, but every now and again, take something really out of your comfort zones, because that's when your brain will work the most. So I have a friend who took a circus course, and he's really quiet. And he said, once I put the paint on, I discovered that I rather like performing. So I went, yeah, I don't need paint to perform. But it's fascinating. So personal development, some for safety, some for growth, some to prune you back. I went to California and took a really woo-woo course, some people thought, but I met the most interesting people who were looking into ways to heal. So I took 3 attitudinal healing courses from Dr. Jampowski. And you either think he's brilliant or you think he was a little out there. I think he was brilliant because he worked with people who were victims of war and all sorts of catastrophes, and was working with large groups. So I think it's valuable, very valuable. And mix it up. Don't take the same thing from the same people all the time.
Right.
I agree with you, Michael.
Thanks, guys. So I apologize, technical difficulties here with Facebook, Zoom, and everything else. So there's 2 of me. So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. So just a couple last follow-up questions before we end off this amazing panel. Thank you again, guys, for being here. For those that are just tuning in, we're here with the Bounce Back 30+1 resiliency panels with our experts. Thank you so much for the 3 of you being here, sharing your stories, sharing what you do, sharing how to, your resiliency. Absolutely inspiring. So thank you so much for that. I want to lighten up the mood here a little bit and ask you guys, what's your guys' favorite music and what's your favorite hobby?
I love Spanish songs, all kinds of Spanish songs. I love salsa, and I like reggae too, actually. So I like them both. And I like soca. So I listen to those songs all the time, and I'll dance along, of course. And I can't sing, but I sing, and I will sing at the top of my lungs. So anyways, and for my hobby, my favorite hobby is I love well, I have 2 favorites. I love tennis and I love martial arts. So I love doing kung fu and tennis.
Amazing.
This is my favorite.
Amazing. Awesome. Cleoni.
Okay. My favorite music is gospel music, all things gospel music. So gospel rap, gospel reggae, soul gospel. I just love gospel music. And I love to sing and dance. And I also sometimes freestyle.
Oh, I think that's the cue, Cleoni. Can we
no,
hear some?
no cues today. No cues today.
I feel like, hang on, we should go back and ask Rosetta to sing too. Rosetta.
Oh my gosh, I would love to sing, but I have a thing here where I love singing, but I do not know the lyrics for any song.
Oh my.
But I sing along with them, and it's so funny because my son wanted has been trying to tape me for many years now, and so he can post it on
TikTok.
YouTube and just or whatever, send it out. I'm like, no, it's not happening. But I love singing, but the only problem is I'm not a very good singer, so I don't want anyone's ears hurting today. So I will not sing today. I will leave the singing for my sessions when we do those meditation, because the music drowns out my voice. Right, Samantha?
Shower singer.
I hope so.
Amazing. Okay, all right. Okay, Cleoni, back to you. Do you want to give us some freestyle?
Okay, all right, we'll try. Don't judge, please. Don't judge.
Oh,
me.
no
judging.
judgment.
No judging.
My name
Is
is
Andy
Theo.
okay?
I got that flow. Everywhere I go, I just praise him. Here I go. What you got to say? When I come with the Holy Ghost. I praise to Jesus Christ because I love him just the most. He is ancient of days, and the reason why I praise. Hands up in the air. This is how I just lay. I love his name. I gotta let you know I flow. I got the Holy Ghost. I'm gonna take over your show.
Whoa.
Yay, that was great, Cleoni. I love it.
Thank you.
That was awesome. Well done.
Thank you.
Amazing. Michael's getting ready. Michael?
Oh, I can't top that. I know when I am defeated, there's talent there way beyond my skill set.
Michael, I think you should dance.
Yeah.
What's that?
I think you should dance.
Yeah. He's going to get up.
Oh, no.
Dance? No,
Yeah.
I don't want to
Oh,
hurt anything.
I thought you were considering
I could break a computer if I danced. Body parts fly everywhere. So
I'm sure you're a great dancer.
you asked about hobbies.
Hobbies and
One of my
favorite music.
And favorite music. Well, I was raised in a house that played everything, except in the 60s, we had a neighbor, God bless them, and I found out years later there was a mental health issue. They only played hurting music. You know, the jokes about country Western music in the 60s. If you played it backwards, you got your dog back, your truck back, and your woman back.
Oh.
And so for Saturday mornings for 2 hours from spring to late fall, out the back window, real loud, was hurting music. And my dad used to say, I understand it's good to feel remorse and reflect and feel sad on occasion, but 2 hours worth? Oh my goodness, he said, kill me now. So I have a deep appreciation from my auntie who loved Oscar and Hammerstein and all sorts of beautiful shows like that, Sound of Music. And then my dad loved his classical music and my mom loved her music. And then my brother at 11, we discovered or 7, we discovered he had this incredible voice. So by 13, he was singing in 5 languages. So all sorts of different styles of classical, European, operatic. Oh, it was amazing. So I like all sorts of music except hurting music. Don't have time for hurting music.
No time.
Okay, thank you. Very good. Thanks, Michael. So, guys, what advice would you all provide to people knowing what you know now? How would you, I mean, there's people that are resilient all over the place, right? Every day, every second, someone has resiliency, but sometimes they're just, you know, they have that fear, right? The fear to face things or even talk about their story. So what advice would you provide them knowing what you guys have been through and knowing what you know now? Michael, go backwards.
I'll do my hand thing. There's 2 ways to see everything at a real basic level. Do you have the issue or does the issue have you? At 3:30 in the morning when I was fighting cancer, the cancer had me on occasion for 40 minutes or 90 minutes. Rosetta talked about it. Cleoni, you talked about it. And then it was like, to misquote a famous singer who stole my best lines, you got to shake it off. And you go back to, I own the issue. It does not own me. And there's where the therapist did not understand that I have cancer. The cancer doesn't have me. And by me having cancer, I still had a spouse. I still had a career. I had loving parents. I was walking in my faith. I built a support team. Cancer was a piece of my life, not all my life. So framing and reframing, the experts would say, but I say it's just focus on perspective. How do you choose to see it? And it's a choice. You got to make it on purpose, not by default.
Thank you. Thank you. Cleoni?
The advice that I would give is, first, don't be afraid of your failures. Your failures are something that helps you with your character. It builds character. And if you do fail, and actually not if you do fail, when you fail, just be kind to yourself and dust yourself off and get back up and keep pushing. Just keep it pressing and keep it moving, because you don't have to stay down. Whatever life throws at you, you know what I mean? They say when life throws you lemons, make lemonade. So I've had a lot of lemons, but I believe my lemonade is pretty sweet.
Amazing. Thank you. And Rosetta, what advice would you give people knowing what you know now?
So they say knowledge is power,
Yes.
but knowledge about yourself is power.
Yes.
Some people say we are human beings having a spiritual experience, but that's not true. We are infinite spiritual beings having a temporary human experience. And since we are here temporarily, we will be faced with adversity and defeat, but it's what we do with it. And when we know who we are and knowing yourself from the inside out, it doesn't matter what people say to you or what people do to you. You will keep going. You will bounce back up. But I notice right now that we're living in a world where we are creating weak people. And I know there are a lot of strong people out there. But in this world, we're creating so many weak people because as soon as there's an issue, they get a prescription for it. And it's not to fix the problem, it's to mask the problem. And what happens is that the problem doesn't go away by masking it. It's going to keep coming back up until you deal with it, until you understand who you are. So for those people who have faced adversity and kept getting up after they've been knocked down, good for you. But you just keep moving, keep working on yourself, keep understanding who you are, and understand that your true power comes from within you. It doesn't come from outside of you. It comes from within you. And once you are connected to that true power, it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down, you will keep coming back up. And it doesn't matter what others say around you, you'll keep moving, because then you can tell others that, you know what, you are not in charge of my life. You are not in charge of my mind. I will not give you the power over me, because I am the master, the master of my fate.
Right.
So you be the master of your fate, and you be the captain of your ship, and you control your life. Keep work on yourself. That's why they say personal development is really, really important, because when we work on ourselves and we have that inner strength, it doesn't matter when failure comes or when and when we get refused. It doesn't matter, because we'll just keep going. And we'll keep going. And if this way doesn't work, it's okay. We'll try a different way. If that way doesn't work, it's okay. You try a different way. There is many different ways to try. But the thing is, you just keep going until you figure it out, because eventually you will figure it out. We will figure it out. So yeah, so you just keep working on yourself, and remember that true power comes from within you, and you can change your life. You can have the life you want, the life you dreamed of, but you have to change yourself first.
Right.
Because your external will not change until you change. So just that's all I just want to leave with you. Just remember that until you change yourself, your external won't change.
Amazing. Thank you so much, guys, for that. So again, thank you to everybody here. Michael, Cleoni, Rosetta. I'm going to give you guys just 30 more seconds just to say, say your business name again, and then I'll close this off here. So let's go around. Let's go with Michael. Go around again in the circle, and we'll come back. So Michael, just let people know again what you do. I mean, you are the founder or co-founder of Resilient Stories, right?
Yes. So I'd like to talk to people about being resilient, all ages. So Resiliency for Life started in 1987, and I've done corporate, school, healthcare, and I love to work with community groups, with teens and youth and junior kids, and it's really important. And so I would leave people with the thought that, do you have the issue, or does the issue have you? Rosetta, Cleoni, you've talked about it in your own words, but the reality is we have more power in us than we think we do. And our whole society is set up to market to us, because if we just drove a nicer car, if we just wore a better cologne or perfume, if we just wore a better designer outfit. No. It's what's in here and here. We're spiritual beings having a physical experience that's temporary. But develop your rational, emotional, and physical. Focus on developing your spiritual, and it's incredible the power that is within. Despite the complications the old body gives me, I'm still here 30 plus years after I wasn't supposed to be. It works.
And I'm muted. Thank you, Cleoni.
So yes, for me, like I mentioned, I am an author of the new book, The Music of My Life, which can be found on Amazon and all different platforms. I'm a speaker and mental health advocate. My information for my website is, you can find more information about me at www.cleonicrawford.com.
Thank you. And Rosetta?
Hi, yes. So I teach people to redesign their lives and achieve their goals. And for anyone who is interested in my my next session of Surrounded, Battle COVID, there is, I think there's a link on Facebook. I can send you the link. And anyone who has any questions about anything that I do can visit www.rosettaq.com or send me a message on Facebook. And yeah, and before I go, I just want to say it's important for you to believe in yourself and to have faith in yourself, and know that, yes, the things that you want will come, but you have to expect them to come. You have to believe that they're coming. So so you keep believing, keep having the faith, and as I said, please feel free to send me a message on Facebook or email, or visit www.rosettaq.com. Thanks, Samantha.
Thank you guys for being here. And just one final message for me. Again, it's Samantha Glass from the Samantha Glass Show. You can find me here, as Gordon says, many, many times per day, almost 24 hours a day. Not literally, but just a reminder, I mean, 30+1 resilient stories. Being an author, everyone here on this panel is an author, or an up-and-coming author. So being an author allows you that venue to have your voice and share your story and inspire others. So if you feel you have a story of resiliency, check out resilientstoriesforlife.com. Again, that's resiliency-stories-for-life.com. That's going to be posted in on this video. So thank you to my panel here today. Greatly appreciated. Greatly, very inspiring. Very inspiring, I have to tell you. And I've learned stuff today, and that's I think everyone else can agree with me that we've all learned something, right? So again, thank you guys for being here. Thank you for taking the time of your busy evening. And, you know, I hope to see you all back here again. We're going to be doing other panels in the future for Resilient Stories. And you're also going to be checking out some spotlight interviews on the of the authors with myself and Kelly Chiason from the Kelly Chiason Show. So again, thank you everybody for tuning in, and I hope you all have a wonderful evening. And thank you to my guests once again. Bye for now.
Thank you, Samantha.